Ground control to Major Tom. Ground control to Major Tom.
Brian Perera of
Take your protein
Cleopatra
pills.
Records
Put your
came
helmet
to me
on.
and said, "We'd like you to do a record," and handed me a sheaf of lyrics for a variety of songs he thought might do. So I took a quick look at the lyrics, and I thought, these are all science fiction lyrics, all science fiction songs. He has in mind a science fiction album, exploitive, I guess, Shatner and all that kind of thing. And I don't want to do that. So I turned it down. A day or so later, I'm ready to throw the sheafs of paper out. And I, just looking over the lyrics, and I begin to see a connection that I'd never thought of before. And the connection was, a half a dozen songs have been written about Major Tom, starting with the David Bowie song. Every song has an element in it that spoke to me about what Major Tom was doing. Major Tom thinks about his wife, thinks how much he loves her, thinks about what happened when he learned to fly, thinks about the growing storm in his life, thinks about what's happening to him now, thinks about going to heaven and questions God, goes to hell and hears hell in Iron Man. And then it just struck me that maybe I could tell the story of Major Tom, because he goes out of the capsule and gets lost, and he's gone. And where is Major Tom? We don't know where Major Tom is. But something happened to Major Tom. So I put together a book, a script, which contained all the lyrics I thought were pertinent, and weaving in and out was back at headquarters. They were trying to find Major Tom. Major Tom, are you there? Are you there? And then Major Tom has an hallucination, or he gets close to heaven, or he remembers what happened to him in the past, or he remembers how to fly, or the nightmares, or things that may have happened to him or didn't, like Bohemian Rhapsody. And then he goes to heaven, and then he goes to hell, and then Major Tom is in the middle of space, in the middle of nowhere. And I had this concept. Well, everybody kind of, wow, that's kind of interesting. Seeking Major Tom. So then Perera says, I've got a guy. I meet Adam Hamilton in his studio. And I say, Adam, you don't know me, I don't know you.
But I said, I know you.
So I say to Adam, let's choose the most difficult song of all, and I want you to prove yourself to me by what you can do with this extraordinary opera that Freddie Mercury wrote.
When you said you wanted to do Bohemian Rhapsody first, the first thing I turned to Brian and I said, I don't know how we're going to do this, because Bohemian Rhapsody, are you kidding? I'm just a rock and roll pop music guy, and that song is just, like you said, it's just unbelievable. It's just an opera.
We have a rock and roll musician here. We have an actor here who has attempted to match the lyric with the song. And the last album I did Common People. And that's significant because what I was able to accomplish on Common People was the energy that an enraged actor would have is the same energy that a rock and roll artist. And so the realization of all this is rock and roll and heavy metal is all about energy, is all about pushing that emotion. So you're vocally and emotionally driving that song. And that's where the actor has to come up to that energy level. And that's what Bohemian Rhapsody has, both as it starts off and then it goes down into the story. And then it becomes a cry of agony.
It's like a good movie. You get the full dynamic range of emotion and energy. It's the most dynamic song I've ever heard, from screaming to a whisper all within 6 minutes.
The scene is a 6-minute scene of a guy who's about to leave. Now, what this has to do with Major Tom is somewhat elusive. Is this an illusion of Major Tom while oxygen deprivation is taking place? Is this really the astronaut's background and he went into becoming an astronaut after? I'll let the audience figure that one out. But it's a space opera unit in a space opera.
If we can get Bohemian Rhapsody down, the rest of the album will be a piece of cake. And that was the truth.
Open your eyes. Look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy. I need no sympathy, 'cause I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low. Any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. To me.
And so that was the first track we laid down. And when we were done, after some days, I shook Adam's hand and I said, we got a partnership.
This became so far beyond what I had ever imagined it being. I mean, I know how creative you are now that I've gotten to know you better. And all the things that you've done in the past. I love everything about what you've done in the music, because I see how you love it. I see how you're invested to it. But I also see how you enjoy the part of it that entertains people, and even if it's in a humorous way. There's so many great, playful, fun songs on the record, and you just let yourself be just completely humorous and completely in the moment. And
she blinded me with science as well, yeah.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Mr. Spaceman with Dave Davies from the Kinks on it. It almost sounds like Porter Wagner did it back in the Grand Ole Opry days. It just sounds like a little, old school country. I played brushes on the drums, and they played dobro on the guitar and stand-up bass. It just sounds like a little country combo from the 50s. And we put slap back on your vocal, so it almost has a, it sounds like Johnny Cash, fronting an old country band. It's just and it's the lyrics are hysterical, and some of these we did, and there's just undeniable first takes that I'm like, this has to stay, and you're like, oh, let's do it again, and then you'll come back to it with a different perspective, and you're like, you're right. How can we get it better than that?
How about the beauty of Lyle Lovett?
Unbelievable.
Well, first of all, in order to do it, he delays his tour. Amazing guy. Every year, pretty much every year, at UCLA, we do a Shakespeare reading. There's a whole group of people, Tom Hanks to drop a name, and the director uses his imagination about how to produce this play. So a couple of years ago, he had Lyle Lovett singing songs. So I met Lyle Lovett at a Shakespeare play, and we hit it off. And we both ride the same kind of horses, quarter horses and reiners. So we had that more in common. Then we met in Oklahoma City at a futurity for reiners, and we developed a friendship. So I thought, wouldn't it be wonderful if he would do something on this record? And I called him, and he said, yes, I'll do it.
Lyle basically routed his tour differently. He was on tour with John Hyatt. He found out he had one day where he didn't have a show, but he had to be in San Diego after he played in Northridge. So I'm in between Northridge and San Diego. So we scheduled it to where he got off his tour bus, he rented a car, he and his girlfriend drove to the hotel, finally make it to the hotel at 6 a.m, get a few hours of sleep, come over here around 11 or 12, shows up looking as cool as Lyle, hair up, black suit on a white t-shirt on, just looking camera ready. And I'm like, we're just recording, we're not filming anything today. And he goes, oh, I'm just, this is just how I look. And I'm like, of course it is. He's just the coolest.
Oh, that's well.
Just a true gentleman.
A great gentleman, a great singer, and a wonderful
talent.
friend. Brad Paisley, and this is the middle of the summer. We're recording this, and they're on tour. They're all over the place. Brad Paisley makes time for us. And goes and plays a great guitar solo.
Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Fabulous.
He actually had intended on doing a vocal on the song and guitar, which he ended up doing, but he had such a busy schedule, and he would tour, and then he'd come home off tour, and he had 3 hours one day to do the session. So his engineer called me and goes, all right, we're going to try it today. They recorded the guitar for Space Cowboy. It sounds amazing, but his voice was hoarse, so he was kind of on doctor's rest to rest his voice. so he didn't get the vocal done. And I'm like, oh no. So, but at least we've got Brad Paisley on guitar, and that's just unreal.
Well, he's a masterful guitarist.
He's
yeah.
unreal. But Brad really wanted to do the vocal on it for you. And so he found another block of time for 3 hours, and he did the same thing. He kind of moved his schedule around so he could have time to rest his voice, so he could sing on this, and he did it. He has a home studio. He's working on his record, and so on that time he had off, he flew in, got some sleep, got up, did the vocal, and they sent it to me, and it was just magic.
I see the showdown, slow downs, lost and found, turnarounds, the boys in the military shirts. I keep my eyes on the prize, on the long falling skies, and I don't let my friends get hurt.
Zakk Wylde has this background with this song, Iron Man. And Adam said, let's try for the guitarist. And Zakk Wylde said, I'd love to do it. So the two of us.
He's a huge fan of yours.
Well, that turned out to be
which
fun.
makes it even that much more
Yeah.
fun.
So Adam, myself, and my wife Elizabeth go up to Zakk Wylde's studio. We spent the day with Zakk Wylde while he laid down a guitar track and watched him do it, magical fingers from that. And then he spent the day doing that. We left, and he was determined to put another track down, a guitar track, as well as a vocal. Some days later, I meet with Adam, and Adam says, what Zakk Wylde has done is phenomenal. Meanwhile, prior to this, I had laid down my track to Iron Man. So I listened to what Zakk Wylde did, which was that screaming, energetic, guttural sound that these guys do. And I thought, what I'm doing is totally inadequate. I've got to try and come up to Zakk Wylde's energy. And then in his genius, he laid our tracks down together. You listen to that song and wow.
Is he alive or dead? I see thoughts within his head. We'll just pass him there. Why should we even care?
That's great. I love it. Let's hear the both together for a second. See.
Play it on the.
Can he see or is he blind? Can he walk at all?
And then I got a Headbanger award from Revolver magazine.